Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cocktails and Rocktails with me, your most notorious groupie, Allison Rouse, author of We've Got Tonight, The Life and Times of Notorious Groupie, me, and all these other little books right here. You guys, where you can get that, my merchandise, everything down in that description. So go down, tittle about. Make me happy. All right, guys, and especially speaking of making me happy, thank you guys so much for all the love, all the support, everything you guys bring to the table here, the friendships, the stories, the other adventures. So looking forward to meeting all the new people and having some of the girls, other 80s groupies I've met on this channel, come on to the show. You guys, I've got some really cool stuff lined up. All right, and today, speaking of cool stuff lined up, what you doing, kitty? Everybody say hi to Baby Beluga back there, joining me for today's episode. And like I said, what I have lined up for today is a lineup of guys that I don't find so savory. I'm going to talk about rockers that I don't actually like, that are total assholes. And because today it's kind of a subject of I don't like limoncello because it's kind of the Jägermeister of lemons. So I'm doing a limoncello sunrise. So we're going to give it a go, see what it is on the scale of Kip Winger. All right, guys. So everybody, grab your lemons, kick up your feet, and let's have a little Cocktails and Rocktails. Cheers, big ears. Okay. Don't mind that at all. The lemon is kind of, the bitterness of the lemon and the strength of that limoncello is kind of mellowed out by the grenadine and the orange juice. But I actually really like it. Definitely going to swallow that over Kip Winger any day. What you doing back there, kitty? He's sitting by my chair sign. And I use this little for the limoncello. But can't get many bottles in the state of Utah. What happens when you have the church running the state? You get banned from things that are part of normal daily life. All right. So, and speaking of things banned from my normal daily life, we are going to go through this little list of the rockers I can't stand. And we're going to start with one a lot of people do not like. And that would be Vince Neil. And we all know why we don't like Vince Neil. He has no fucking personality. And what little he does have is completely abrasive and rude. And if he doesn't like the looks of you, you're not his type. It doesn't mean you're not beautiful or sexy or gorgeous or interesting or anything like that. It just means you're not his type. He will be so degrading and wrong. And like I said, he's just a fat piece of shit who can't sing anymore, who has no personality, that isn't nice to a lot of people, that is so vain, as we've seen from his videos in bed, that you know he's going to suck. Because he's more concerned about himself and how it makes him look like a rock star. He doesn't have sex with heart and soul. He has it with his ego. And everything he does is with his ego. Ask his many ex-wives, ex-girlfriends. You know, I mean, I just don't like Vince. I just think he's a piece of shit. Never liked him. Never wanted to be around him. No interest in him. Women who are interested in him, go a little more into the deep end of the pool, because let me tell you, that's the shallow end big time. And speaking of the shallow end of the pool and personalities, now another one that I don't like, and it's not because I think he's a total idiot, because I don't think this guy's a total idiot. He's just annoying as fuck. Is DeVille. Now, when I met him on Poison tours and stuff back in the 80s, when Poison was really at their height and peak, he was just obnoxious, loud, and this is his general personality, and kind of like just, Allison, order me an egg roll, Allison. That was him, like, because we were sitting smoking weed in someone's room. I think it was probably Richie Barron's, and there was Cece and Bobby and a couple roadies and Kristen and I and stuff, and this was right before I went down to meet Brett Michaels, and oh my god, and then we went and hung out after I hooked back up with David Lee Roth, we went and hung out at this cool club here in Salt Lake City that was part of the history of Salt Lake City for a long time called the Zephyr. And even then, Allison, like, he was ordering me around, and I'm like, excuse me, I'm not with you. Your dick is not in my mouth or any other part of me, so I do not need to be taking care of you, and I am not your fucking, but you're a good girl, and I like you. And he kept hanging, where you going, Allison? Going to the fucking bathroom. Well, I wanted to ask you about something. Why didn't you come play pool with me? Allison! Oh, shut the fuck up, CC DeVille. Not a bad guitar player, but in the big grand scheme of great guitar players, mediocre at best. But his personality it definitely is someone who doesn't mind swallowing a kip winger, doesn't like the bitterness of the personality, so to speak. Because I think there's some bitterness to him. And like I said, he's not a bad person in general. Like, he's not mean or rude or degrading. He's just abrasive and thoughtless in a lot of the way. He thinks if he's having fun, everybody else is. He doesn't know when to stop. So that's CC DeVille. Not a big fan of CC DeVille's. And of course, here's one that I'm pretty sure 99% of anybody in rock and roll who's ever come across, waitresses, bellhops, anybody who's crossed this guy's path, Bobby Blotzer. Nobody likes him. Now, this is the epitome of just straight up bitterness. Because number one, he is mediocre drummer would be a highlight to describe his drumming. That would be the pinnacle he could ever reach. He just wanted to be a rock star. Like Bobby Blotzer said it once. He's like, and at least Bobby admits this. He's like, I didn't want to be the greatest guitar player. I wanted to be a rock star. But see, Bobby thinks he automatically deserves that because he was in Rat, which for a couple years in the 80s, everybody wanted someone in Rat. And he was with my friend Bochet. Now, how Bochet could deal with him, because like I said, he was just a dick, even to the women he dated, just anything that came out of his mouth. I had red hair very briefly. Didn't look good with red hair. And he was like screaming at me. We were sitting there talking. He's like, you need to shut up. And we weren't even having a conversation with each other. He was sitting at the table next to us at the bar. And me and my friends were just laughing and having a good time with, Ian Jeffries was their tour manager at the time. Warren, Juan, a bunch of us. And this is after I ditched Stephen Piercy in the back lounge because of the... So this is after that. And so we're just hanging out and having a good time. And he's like, you know what? And he just turned around to me and just kind of punched me in the back. And I was like, what the fuck? So I just turned around to do this. And Ian got between me and Bobby because Ian knew. If I raised my hand to him, which I do not do, that is not who I am. But if you punch me in my back, I am fucking raising my hand to you. And Ian got between because he knew Bobby would end up in Nova Scotia. I'd slap him so hard. And I do not recommend any violence. I'm not trying to do anything, but if someone puts their hands on you, yeah. So Ian got between us. I was like, what? He's like, you remind me of Sandra Bernhard, and I hate Sandra Bernhard. I'm like, well, I'm sure she would hate you too, so you just need to turn around, mind your own business. Like, there is no good quality about Bobby Blotzer. Sober, drugs, nothing changes who he is. Just rude, just hateful of his life because he never was the bonzo or got all the chicks, that he thought he deserved because he didn't earn anything. Like, he just sits back there and tink, 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 on the drums. Like, he's a total shitty drummer. He's a shitty person. He's a shitty dad if he has any kids. So I've heard. Just nobody, I have never heard anything good. The only thing I know that he had good was my friend, my old groupie friend rival thingy, Bochet. How he got her is beyond me. But something tells me Bochet had the patience of a saint. Because I heard his dick is small too, so can't be that great in bed either. So sucks all the way around. Fuck you, Bobby Blotzer. And here's one that I just really don't like. And that would be Aldo Nova. And there's a reason for this. There's a reason behind this. So when I first came back, it was a few years after I had released my book. Long story, there's a whole story about it here, my journey to releasing the book, what happened when I released the book. But anyway, I had first come back, and my friend Paula, who knew Corey Draper, who was a big time rock and roll radio DJ around here. He's been with K-Bear on and off for years, has his own podcast, stuff like that. I was on his show with a bunch of other women, and Aldo Nova was coming on. Now, these women were talking about important things. I mean, this is a couple newscasters. They're big here in Salt Lake City. And we were all women of differing situations that, you know, had to fight for our rights or reputation, or who took our power into our own hands and had consequences for that. So in the consequences, you know, these women were kind of like, we don't know about her, wouldn't look at me, but they were enjoying my stories. All lovely women, don't get me wrong. But I can see why they were thinking that, right? And so another guest on the show that night was Aldo Nova, and what happened next was changing their mind. So we go to a commercial break. Corey and I had talked about everything going on with John, the backlash it had on me, why I got pigeonholed into this thing that I was not, because this is how society pigeonholes women, especially groupies, stuff like that. So we're at commercial break. Aldo Nova, he's been listening to the show apparently, because he says, all right, you know, Corey's telling him, all right, we're at commercial. As soon as we're done, I'll introduce you. We'll go into our interview. What is the first thing Aldo Nova says? Oh, so you got the woman who killed John Entwistle on there tonight, do ya? Ha, that's cool. We all know how I feel about that. Oh my effing God. So first thing I snap back, I'm like, no, Aldo, you don't even go there. I said, that's not true. I said, you need to quit with that bullshit. And Corey's like, yeah, he's like, please don't insult the other guests. Because I just got done talking about, you know, as a woman, you are treated so differently when it comes to Rockstars. And Aldo actually demonstrated that. So all these women kind of looked at me. They were like, oh, now we get why you're on here. You're kind of the Monica Lewinsky, and we talked about Monica Lewinsky on here, which I went through, what she went through. So I'm not comparing myself, or the hell, I understand what she went through, but because of the backlash and the things you get called and the pigeonhole and the press and everybody just invading every aspect of your life and telling your story for you. So that's why I don't like Aldo Nova, because he insulted me, and he was like, oh, the woman that killed John Entwistle. And I didn't kill him because I don't do cocaine. I didn't bring in the room. But here he is just following the flock of lies. Because I'm a groupie, so it's okay to treat me like that, right? No, Aldo, it is not. So, fuck you to Aldo Nova. Oh, hello, kitty kitty. And everybody say hello to Beluga. Are you going to sing for us? So yeah, that's why I don't like Aldo Nova. Because he drives me crazy. Crazy. Because he just, you know, he did that without even like he listened to the show and the things that I went through, and that was one thing I covered. And he just went ahead and wanted to look cool. Well, listen, tiny man, you didn't look cool. You looked like an asshole in front of a lot of very strong, some powerful women that were sitting next to me. Okay, so Beluga's decided to go back somewhere back there, probably into his little sleeping spot. But so next band, and I say band because it really is, it's mostly the drummer, but the whole band kind of falls into this category. So it's Dokken. Another kind of Bobby Blotzer-esque, angry that they weren't as big as they should have been in their own minds. Not really. And the reason I don't like him is because they're your typical LA band who thinks that groupies are there for their use and disposal. Because let me explain to you this. Someone said one time that James Hetfield and I were a fuck buddy. So let me explain the difference between fuck buddy and lovers, because people are losing what a lover really is. Lovers, have a friendship, we have a respect, we have a trust. We go out to dinner, we go out to movies, we take care of each other, we know about each other's lives. Booty calls, you just call up, you have sex, you leave, you don't know that much about each other. So I'm used to being a lover, someone who's around for years, or trusted on the road and taking care of my man and having a relationship, just not a all the way relationship. You know, we are happy in the what we are meant to be. So a lot of groupies, especially the LA ones, because the guys, especially in the 80s in LA, it was still the guys' world as much as women were taking their power. They were still somewhat at the mercy of men. And when we were hanging out with Dokken, like, Mick would be like, oh, come here. He's like, I want you. And he just grabbed me by my hand. I was like, where are we going? He's trying to drag me to the back of my lounge, start touching me. I was like, no, fuck no. Fuck no, you don't touch me unless I say yes. And you didn't even know. You just grabbed me, and he was like basically accosting me and kind of laughing. And him and was it the drummer? Was Mick? The kind of orangey blonde hair. I don't even pay attention to them. And like Audi and stuff, they were trying to just keep me in the back lounge. Oh, just take it. You'll like it. He's not that big anyway. It won't hurt. Again, never in my life will I ever. And ladies, if you find this yourself in this situation, again, pinch the inner thigh, hightail it out of there. Kick the baskets, inner thigh pinch, because that inner thigh pinch is going to just give you the 2 seconds you need. It's just going to take them down. It hurts like a sun. So that was the reason, because they were so privileged that they just thought we were there for their disposal and use. And I'm like, no, I'm not here to be your little bodily fluid disposal, sweetie. I am a woman. I am a human being. I am a lover, not your fuck buddy. Not your blow-up doll. And again, the difference between LA groupies and groupies from other places in the world, that's it. Fuck buddies, lovers. And I didn't appreciate the fact that the guys in Dokken were doing that. And they were not just doing it to me, they were doing it to my friends. And this is in Seattle the first time. So we were just like, you know what, fuck this. We were off that bus. We didn't even go to the show. This is the pass. Didn't even bother with these guys, because they got us passes, and they think, these guys were of the frame of mind that they think because they gave you the pass, you owe them something. Like those guys who think because they took you out to dinner and paid for it, you owed them something. Nope, you don't owe any man anything for chivalry. That's all there is to it. So that's why I don't like any of Dokken. They're just, again, mediocre musicians, not a very good band, a bunch of egotistical assholes who treated women as their disposable vessels. And I hear that Mick and everybody, those guys had small dicks. So definitely nothing to like about those guys. You know, Don especially had a mouth on him, and he was just like, oh, you're not even good looking for me. And I was like, yeah, fuck you, you balding, saggy piece of shit who's known to beat women. I mean, come on. Ladies, you gotta look beyond the rock star and see the human being. We saw the human beings, me and my friends, and Dokken, that's who they are. Bunch of jackasses. And we're gonna tie this one up by someone we know that I don't like, that I've done a whole episode on him and his new wife, is Neal Schon from Journey. Cannot stand him. Again, he's in the real kiddie pool, shallow end of the pool as far as personality and worthiness, or not worthiness, but being a decent human being. Like, this guy is known to be backstage in the meet and creep, and there's been a beautiful woman standing next to her husband, and he's come up and basically shoved the husband out of the way, hitting on his wife, being like, you want to go get drinks? Like, he's told the husband, like Jerry Cantrell has done before, but I like Jerry because Jerry has some personality outside of his issues. But Neal Schon, nothing. This is a guy who married his baby mama. They had a 6-month-old, went to Paris, had this big wedding. All the while he was cheating with the woman who's now his wife, that silly, crazy DC Obama crasher housewife. So, and he, like I said, again, no personality. He's a dick to his road crew. He's an asshole to his band. He thinks he's the king god because supposedly he's hung like a horse. So he thinks this gives him, being in a band, and that makes him an ultimate catch. But really, no. Who would want to catch from a man who would marry a woman knowing he's sleeping with someone else, gonna ditch her, disappears with said housewife, who has done that to every wife? again, see past the rock stars and see the humans they are. But mostly I don't like Neal just because he is a total dick to his road crew. You don't want to work for him. He's a total asshole. He's demanding on and off the road. He is demanding. Oris has worked for them. Oris left their last tour because he was like, fuck you, Neal. Neal's a dick. If Oris thinks he's a dick, he's a dick. Trust me. I've met him. I think he's a dick. The only good story I've ever heard about Neal Schon is the one Marie told the other day. And that's probably because he was trying to, because he will be a beautiful human being if he wants you in his bed or wants to put his horse in you. The second he's done, though, from what I hear, it's just brutal and rude and nasty. And it's one thing if you're just having a one-night stand. That's all good. You don't have to treat someone respectful. You don't have to be a jerk because we're both in that same bed. And it's okay to have a one-night stand. It's okay to be a long-time lover. It's okay if you want to be someone's fuck buddy and you're just, that's it. Just have respect for each other. You're both in that same bed. So, and then when him and his now wife did their pay-per-view wedding, oh my God, this thing was so horrible. It was in some cheap warehouse with some cheap branches, some blue lights, and some like dollar store twinkle lights. Oh God, they thought people were going to pay to see them get married. No, sweetie, we've paid to see, we didn't watch the drama for free unfolding. It was all over the news at the time. Nobody needed to see you two get married. Trust me, we've seen enough of you guys. So, there you guys go. Who are the rockers that you've met that you didn't like? Who were the assholes? Put it down there in the comments, you guys. And also, put down in the comments any questions you have for me, because I do a lot of question and answer videos. Kristen and I are getting ready. I'm doing everything to figure out the podcast. She's going to show up. So we are going to be doing a podcast. So put stuff down there, you know, that you would like for us to do on the podcast. And we are going to make it a call-in. Like I said, I'm still trying to figure everything out, but it's going to involve you guys. We're going to have a lot of fun things going on. So go down in those comments. Tell me what you guys think. Who are the rockers you couldn't stand? And I'm sure we can agree on a lot more. All right, you guys. Don't forget, if you're just haunting my channel for that 40% of you that are just hanging around, checking things out, go down. Like it was the back lounge of a tour bus. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the share. Hit the like. Hit my bells. We'll see you next time here on Cocktails and Rocktails. Cheers, big ears.